Okay, so this scene is called the Song of Deepest Sorrow. So we're gonna manifest the song, and we're gonna go over like the atlas of the scene. Okay, so the Song of Deepest Sorrow is like uh go to the community center on Tish Junior channel and go to the Abyss on Earth and um like access the reference material, the star reference material. So like we're in South Lithia at the South Lithia architecture firm. And like so like in the South Lithia architecture firm, we are like manifesting the Song of Deepest Sorrow. And what the Song of Deepest Sorrow is like Eros and the Gold Shawl Boy are like this is kind of like the Gold Shawl Boy just like embraced like his like his divine form in the old Eros symbol and then like returned to the new Eros symbol. And so like now we're in South Lithia and like we are kind of like opening just like kind of like dabbling with opening the Enchanted Forest and like like demonstrating like the spiritual libraries and like we're kind of like allowing people access to the spiritual libraries. And so like we're in the like architecture firm and like we're manifesting the Song of Deepest Sorrow. And what that is like it is going to be Eros in like okay, so we have just shot that arrow at zone 3. And so like Eros like so the Gold Shawl Boy was received in the zones after his coronation, like during his like spiritual coronation, he's like received in the zones, and like he is doing this like kind of like he's arriving, he's like arriving in Lithia, like because he is a native of Lithia, but now he is like arriving and like touring like Lithia, like his kingdom, like he is the king of Lithia now, and like so he is like just viewing the kingdom of Lithia for the first time because he is like now the king of Lithia. And so like he's seeing Lithia as his kingdom as opposed to just like this like land that he lived on. So like now he is the king of Lithia. And so he is like viewing that and like that's kind of what was his like spiritual coronation, his like transformation in the zones is. And so now in the architecture firm, like Eros is like revealing to the Gold Shawl Boy like what it like what blossoming the universe is going to how that's going to look, how that's going to feel, like what the ramifications of it are, what like it just like how it will like how it will grow each of them and how it will like the sorrow that each of them are going to experience as like they rule. And so, like, they go to like access the blossom fruits in the Platinum Council chambers. And so, like, what is happening with the blossom fruits? Like, so like the concept of the blossom fruit is that like the fruit is like available and like it's like seated in like areas of the map. Like the map is fully constructed now. It's like it's seated in areas of the map, and like what happens with the blossom fruit is that like the people who eat it become immortal, and the people who eat it and aren't like uh, strong enough to eat it die. And so, like, what's happening is I'll be right back. Okay, okay, so like the blossom fruit. So like how the blossom fruit works is it like an area of like Lanai is like seeded with the blossom fruit, and it doesn't it kills what is not like strong enough to eat it. And so like what happens is like it's like so arrow shoots this arrow, and it's like a flame, it's like an arrow, but it's like it's a wind arrow. And what the wind arrow is it just like it's this it's like sort of like it's a wind arrow of like an aroma that is like so like pleasant, and that has been like the arrows is crafted to like kind of like just like the blossom fruit will like learn what the human or like the creature is that is eating it. It will learn what that creature like, what how that creature like how that creature's like taste buds work, like what its senses are, like even its like its auditory, visual, like smell senses are, and like then it will like it will like configure itself to like suit that person. And so like that's kind of what Eros's arrow does as well. It like kind of like Camilo's like magic mirror power. It like mirrors their brains like neurons, and it mirrors their like just like their bodies like it mirrors their bodies just like genetic makeup, so that like it the experience that they're having of eating the fruit is like a kind of placebo like sensation, in the sense that it doesn't have like a the blossom fruit like in the wind arrow, it doesn't have like an aroma of its own, it doesn't have like a taste, it's not really anything, it's just air. And so like it's kind of like what's happening is that he's just like kind of like the mist in the tower. It's like it opens and like there's water in it, but like sort of like how like that's what a perfume bottle is. It's like it's like liquid, but like people like put like you put things in it and makes it smell a certain way or whatever. And so like that's what arrows are. It's like it has like an aroma, like it's like it just has like a small like little liquid, or like sort of like like a small little like mist or whatever, and it's like as it's zipping through the air, like that is like permeating that environment or whatever. And so what the arrow and the blossom fruit are is it chameleons, and it like takes the most like pleasing form of the like host or whatever. And so like what happened with the wind arrow is he shot this wind arrow that just like um like in your brain's neurons, like each of the neurons of the people who like absorb the like mist of the wind arrow, it like it gave them like kind of like a high, like if they were smoking marijuana, or if like they were doing like Molly or something. Like it's that sort of effect. It's like not really a drug. It's not a drug at all. But like he just shot this wind arrow that has this like blossom fruit aroma on it, and maybe even the wind arrow that he shot, what did have like the juice of the blossom fruit on it. That would be kind of interesting if like that's what he learned how to do, is he learned how to just shoot arrows that has the blossom fruit on it. But like I think that would be really interesting, and like also would show why he is so why he like has the blossom fruits in such a like high level of like safety, like a high safety level or whatever, because like they like that's like his like most like powerful like wind arrow. And so like what happens when people eat the blossom fruit is like this just like auditory, like visual, spectacular, like extraordinary display of just like beauty, and just like they're just like having these like visions, kind of like just they're just like seeing these like beautiful visions of like this like an immensely euphoric thing that is happening, and they're just like experiencing this like tailored like literally like sandy particle size, atom size, like tailored experience, like tailored euphoric experience that is like that is stemming from this like wind arrow that has just like permeated their entire environment. And like that's also what the experience of eating the blossom fruit is. And so like what just happened to like South Lithia and where he like returned to and just like the majesty of like the world that he had literally like that the Gold Chalbor had literally just been in like a day before, like in like the Enchanted Forest scene, like in Frozen 2, like and in Wish, like he is returning there and like it the landscape like looks more or less exactly the same because it's only been like a day, but like the landscape looks more or less exactly the same, but like just like the environment, the ecosystem, like the life forms, like there's just like this like atmosphere of just like euphoric just like beauty, and like everyone is just like super happy and just like everybody is just like experiencing this like euphoric sensation, and like seeing him like he did not experience the wind arrow. He didn't get shot with it because arrows didn't need to shoot him with it. And so like when he goes back there, like he the people that are talking to him, he doesn't know how to like process it because they are like he doesn't really know how to process it because they are like like they are uh like like he doesn't really know how to process it because they are um like they're experiencing this like euphoric sensation, like this euphoric like oxygenated sensation, and this like just like really like festival like sensation, and like it's kind of like just they're just all like just like celebrating and just like experiencing this like beautiful like and amazing like thing, and it's just really interesting because like they are like like the Gold Shawl Boys, like he is disconnected from them in the sense that they are like he did not get shot with the arrow, and arrows also told him that the arrow is not what they think it is. So like the euphoria and the majesty that they're experiencing, and they're even calling the Gold Shawl Boy Your Majesty now, because like the world that he's in this beautiful world that they're experiencing, and like just like the ecstasy and the euphoria that they're experiencing, like they believe that they're experiencing that because like Eros just like fell in love with all of them, and that like the Gold Shawl Boy is now like their king, and like they're all like, whoa, we just like like we just opened ourselves to this like these like refugees, and then like our kingdom grew and we're like experiencing this like boundless like prosperity that we never thought would ever exist, and that prosperity is real, like that prosperity is actually happening, but it's not like some genuine emotion that they're experiencing from Eros, but that's what they think it is. And I think that that's what's really funny about it. But like the Gold Shawl Boy, like literally knows that that's not true, and like because Eros told him that literally right before he shot the arrow, and so like the experience that he's having, and like that's kind of what like how the song of Deepest Sorrow begins, is that like the experience that he and Eros are having is that like they know that like nobody in their kingdom is actually in love with them, and like they know that they're not in love with, well, Eros knows that he's not in love with anyone in the kingdom. And then the Gold Shawl Boy's sorrow is that like the people in the kingdom all believe that they are in love with like Eros and the Gold Shawl Boy's like rule. And like the Gold Shawl Boy like it's kind of like having to like talk to all of them and be like, that's not real. Like this is beautiful and it's prosperous and I'm like enjoying it, but I'm also acclimating to this, and I also know that I literally know that this isn't real. Like I don't have a suspicion that it's not real. Like I literally know this isn't real because like my king like and my like partner just like told me that it's not real. Like he told me literally before this happened to you that this isn't real. And so like I'm ruling over this kingdom that like is like perfect in every sense of the word, except for like the mere fact that like what made it perfect isn't real. Like, and so like I think that that's like it's just like it's really funny and beautiful and hilarious, but it's also like really like depressing and tragic and sad because like Eros and the Gold Shawl Boy are the only two people that are going to exist in the really in all of Lithia, but then also in the garden, like largely in the garden, who know that like that like the like emotion that is like that is kind of like the emotion that like the prosperity is like built on is like not really real, but the prosperity itself is real. And so like Eros and the Gold Shawl Boy are just like the Gold Shawl Boy is really like that's where like the sorrow of his rule is that like he's like the only person, like him and Eros are the only two people who know that this isn't real, but Eros like created the illusion. And so like I think that that's what's happening is that it's like Eros is like it's like it's tragic for both of them really because like Eros like knows that like this is not like an actual thing, and like the Gold Shawl Boy is like in love with Eros, so he doesn't care necessarily, but like he also knows that like it is like he's having to like grapple with like um he's having to grapple with like learning that like his like spouse is like this person that is like very dark, and like this is like this person that like is not really like that like is he's like his spouse is like this person that like is like very um like charismatic, but like so much so, and like he is on such a like higher level of it than anyone else that like it's difficult for the Gold Shawl Boy to like um it's difficult for the Gold Shawl Boy to um like rule his kingdom because like he knows that like Eros is not like that Eros cares for like the people there, but like that still everything that they believe about what he is not actually what is like he is what he says that he is. Like the and like what's happening is the Gold Shawl Boy is really having trouble like articulating it to himself and then therefore to anyone else in this kingdom because like he knows that Eros is who he says that he is, and that he knows that Eros does care for the region and like is actually a suitable leader. And so like he wants to like demonstrate to people and like tell people like, yes, like I'm the king and like we're like, like married and like we're like ruling this kingdom together. But like I also want like my people to know that like he's not actually in love with you. And I think that that's what, and so like he's just kind of like having a like he's having like a crisis of conscience in the sense that like he wants Eros to rule this kingdom because he's ruling it well and his people are benefiting from it, but like he doesn't want them to like believe this thing about it. Like literally like everything about Eros is true, like 99.9%, 99.99% of what Eros has told everybody in the kingdom is true, except for like the one thing that isn't true, which is that like he's in love with all of them, because that's not true. And like the Gold Shawl Boy is just like, but he believes that that's like a very important piece of information, and like he's struggling because like Eros does not believe that that is an important piece of information. Like Eros in no way, shape, or form thinks that like him like beguiling these people like this is like a bad thing. Like, and so I think that that's what's happening is Eros is just like, that's a really small little detail that I'm allowing them to believe because it is like benefiting both of us. And you should think that it's awesome. And you're like, you're acting like it's not. And it's slowing us down. And it's really frustrating to me. And so like, that's kind of where like the Song of Deepest Sorrow comes in, is that it's like, and that's kind of what like the tower is too, is that it's like, that's kind of like that when Miss is representative of like that red, like that little tiny bit of red that is in the tower that is powering like I mean, well, it's not really powering the whole kingdom. Like the enchantment is powering it. So like Eros's power is way more than that like really tiny bit of red that opens the doors. But like that's kind of what it is that like he has this tiny bit of like dark nature that is what can literally like turn the kingdom from like boundless prosperity to like deep sorrowful despair. And it's like so small and like so undetectable and so dark that nobody even knows that it's there. And like that's why it's so horrible, because it's like that's why it's so like depressing for the Gold Shawl Boy, because like everything about Eros is perfect. Like everything about Eros is perfect. There's this tiny, tiny little thing about him that is like so tiny that nobody knows that no one would even be able to detect it. And like it's also such a it's like it's so tiny that no one would be able to detect it, but it's also so like it's so it's something that seems so like innocuous that nobody would even think to even to like wonder if there was something dark there. And so like but like the gold shawl boy knows that it's there, and not only does he know that it's there, but he knows that it can, like at any point in time, like even though Eros does not like very rarely gets to the point where he like will want to destroy an entire kingdom, the gold shawl boy is the only person in his kingdom who knows that at any point in time, Eros could just literally obliterate and annihilate like the entire kingdom and like at literally like at any moment and like it would happen instantly like and so like it's just like it's like really depressing because like the gold shawl boy is like ruling this kingdom that is perfect in every way except for the very small like detail that like it could be destroyed in its entirety at any moment like because of a very like any small like specific thing that like sets Eros off and so like that's just it's just really funny. And it's like it's hilarious. So like that's kind of how the Song of Deep Star like begins. And so like we're in the architecture firm and like Eros is like instructing like the architecture like crew of like what the Blossom Fruit situation is and like this is kind of like the first scene of like us kind of delving into like the rain in Lithia. And so okay, so this is like the scene of us like delving into like the rain and Lithia. And so like kind of what's happening is hmm, oh. So like kind of what's happening is that like um so we're in the architecture firm and we are like uh manifesting like we're manifesting the Song of Deepest Sorrow. It's like we're in the architecture firm and like we have access like the Platinum Council and the architecture firm in the South Lithia Spiritual Library. And the so like that's also like the Tech Valley. And so like we're like awake, we're accessing the cell phone. So like we're awake in our consciousness, like we're like we're venturing into like the future. And so like this is like in the architecture firm and in the Platinum Council chambers, like the Gold Shawl boy is like Eris is instructing him on like kind of and introducing him to like all of the places in Lithia that have just been constructed and kind of trying to see where the Gold Shawl boy like wants to actually like where he wants to like work and like what he wants like his like role to be like so, I mean he is king but like he also like is gonna have like duties as king and so like Eros is just kind of like introducing him to like where he thinks he'd be best suited and so like Eros kind of like wants him to like work at the Platinum Council, but like the Gold Shawl boy doesn't really want to do that. And like he kind of wants to like the Gold Shawl boy kind of wants to like operate like the lofts and like he kind of wants to like operate the lofts on the beach specifically because like that's a region of Lithia that like didn't really exist. And so like and also he like sees like that the sand is there and it's like that's the only place on the map really that has like a large like beach of sand and like everything else that Eros constructed like Eros arrived like blossomed this desert and then like sailed and like started this war and then like constructed this golden light tournament and did all of it so fast that like nobody even had time to be like you just like literally took over this entire planet and but like nobody has time to even like mention that because it's like it happened so fast and so the gold shawl boy is just like he kind of wants to like he's like very intrigued by this like kind of artificial beach that Eros constructed because like that desert was blossomed. Like the seven majors is like now where that desert was. And there was that desert town that was made of sand that like got destroyed. And so like Eros is like, or the Gold Shaw Boy is like really invested in this like beach because he's like, even though it's an artificial beach, it's still a beach. And so like he's like really invested in this beach because it's like kind of like it's like this like kind of spiritual remnant of like how this war began and how this country like these countries grew and like how this world was constructed. And it's like he's kind of like really reconnecting with that because like the like internal struggle that he's having of like embracing his role as king of Lithia and like his relationship with Eros, and then also like the internal struggle of like really being pleased with that, but then also like the apprehension of like just like the very very small minute but very powerful darkness that Eros also is. He is an overwhelming light, but he is also a very very like potent darkness. And so like he like the sand is like the beach is kind of where the Gold Shawl Boy wants to like work because like that's like something that is like very it's South Lithia, which like Eros specifically sailed to South Lithia and rallied like the whole planet to sail to South Lithia because that's where the Frozen Heart was. And so like Arrow, like the Gold Shawl Boy, like really like is wanting to like spiritually connect with South Lithia in this beach because like he like genuinely kind of knows and believes that that's like that Eros constructed that like the most like human that Eros is going to be is what constructed that because he like knows that he destroyed that town in the Seven Majors and like he fled the Seven Majors because of how dark he was like allowing himself to become when he was in the Seven Majors and when he was with his brother. And so like like when he fled there, he didn't want to be that dark. He knows that like that's part of his genetics. Like he is like Ambrodia and Axenus are both born of darkness and fire, which again, the both of the brothers, since like Ambrodia has a dominant fire gene and a recessive dark gene. Axenus has a dominant dark gene and a recessive fire gene. And so, like, what's happening is, like, they often forget that they are both darkness and fire, but they are. And so, like, what's happening is that it's like, the Gold Shawl Boy is, like, really investing in this beach because he's like, this A is kind of like the kind of like the bridge of, like, or it's like a kind of like softer, it's a kind of like softer like um like manifestation of that bridge of between like uh um of the bridge between like Ambrody and Axenus, like Eros and Dionysus. It's like a softer version of that. And so like he like the Gold Shawl Boy is like aware of this and like he also knows that like the waterways, like the sand in the water and the earth, like so like the sand, the water, the wind and the fire, like he knows that that's like Eros's power. And so like he is just trying to like establish a place that isn't as like engineered, even though it is artificial, it's like it's less engineered. It's a beach, and so like he's trying to establish a place in Lithia that like he can bring people to, like natives of Lithia, so that they can like have a like he can kind of like demonstrate to people like within more open air, like clean energy, like vibe of like, hey, this is kind of like this is kind of like a place that we can all like meet as natives, where like Eros is not like where he doesn't like feel like he has to oversee as strictly or whatever, and like where like he isn't like a place that like is like not as architectural, so he doesn't feel the need to be like maintaining it. And there's also like all of those immortal saplings that are there, and so like there's it's a place that like Eros knows is like a safe place. And so like therefore the native Lithians will be able to go there because they know that he's not going to be like feeling the need to like be doing like constant maintenance on it or anything. And so I think that that's kind of what's happening with Gold Shaw Boy. Is he's establishing that as like this place where not only natives of Luthia can go, but then he and Eros can go where when Eros has to be like when he needs to like remind Eros that he's kind of really dark sometimes. And so I think that that's kind of what's happening. And so like then okay, so now we're like the Gold Shaw Boy has like established that. Like that's like so we've established like the mindsets. Eros wants him to work at the Platinum Council. The Gold Shaw Boy wants to work on the beach. And so like that's kind of what's happening is that like the and so like, now we're like in the architecture firm and like those are where the like Eros and the Gold Shaw Boys like minds are. And so, like, we're going over the blossom fruit now, and like we're returning to the song of deepest sorrow. And so, like, what's happening is that like um like what's happening is the um in the architecture firm, like we are like in the architecture firm, like uh Eros has like called to and like received people who are like arriving there and like so like natives of Lithia who like are wanting to learn architecture and then also like like people in South Lithia and West Lithia people who are like who have embraced more of the culture of like the new Lithia culture like these people are kind of arriving at the architecture firm and they are like Eros has kind of called the strongest in Lithia to arrive at the architecture firm because what he is doing is like he is demonstrating to people and like he and the Gold Shawl Boy like are like going over like what the blossom fruit is and like kind of demonstrating it to people like of what the power is. And so he's calling all of the strongest of Lithia to the architecture firm and then like from there we'll go to the Platinum Council and like deliberate in the Platinum Council bunker, which is actually going to be like just like a council platform. It's a bunker right now, but it's really just going to be like this like councilman platform. And so like they're going to deliberate in there and like what like so this is kind of like this like first meeting that's happening in that council. So like now it's officially a council chamber and not a bunker. And so like we're doing this like first meeting of this like deliberation of like this is what the blossom fruit is. Like this is what the power is. This is what the magnitude of the power is. Like this is what like it like looks like when like because the planet is fully blossomed now. And so like now what's happening is they're going over like the history of like what blossoming is because like again it's like this is how blossoming will play out as we're blossoming the universe, because this is kind of the first planet that this has happened to. And it also is the first planet that it's happened to like fully successfully. And so like now what's happening is like um they're going to the like the Platinum Council chambers to deliberate and like to reveal to the strongest of like this is what we actually just did. Like the world like sees what happened and like only the people on like the only life forms that are on the planet, just like as like natural selection has happened throughout like human history or like the history of life forms on Earth. And also how like presumably like the Earth was probably just like magma and like now it is green and lush. So like what's happening is that like that is like a natural thing that has happened like over the course of the planet's like lifetime. But like people, I mean, a lot of that is just stuff that we know from studying it, like as humans, like in the actual world. That's just stuff that we know from studying the Earth, like paleontology, geology, anthropology, archaeology. But like what's happening in Blossom is that like this is a much, much, much shorter period of time of blossoming this planet. Like literally like a spacecraft like touched down on this planet that was like green or that was like orange, like Mars or whatever, and like terraformed it, like blossomed it. And so like this is a much shorter period of time of like a like race of like humans that just like like arrived here uh blossomed the planet, like obliterated every life form on the planet and then like repopulated it. So like this is a really short period of time, but like it is like the study is based off of like the like study of human history. So like they're going over like just like a reconnaissance of like this is what we just did to this planet. And like it's modeled after like the natural progression of like natural selection on Earth. And so like this is like Earth 2. Like this is like the second one. This is the first planet that's been blossomed, but like it's modeled after like what happened naturally on Earth. And so like the blossoming is like they're going over like a really like I don't know, let's just say like let's just honestly, I don't know, because it's all in Ambrodia Eros's lifetime, so it really probably wasn't that long of a period of time. But like it's so like they're going over this like we'll just say quantifiable period of time that is like kind of like the tower opening and closing, like it is a quantifiable period of time that like almost like identically resembles like the billions of years that took Earth to do that because like he accelerated it. Like, and so I think that that's what's interesting about it. And like also it's the song of deepest sorrow because we're accessing like the deepest parts of like Eros's like subconscious and like just like his memory of like being an earthling and like like traveling like the universe and like arriving on this planet and blossoming it. Like so like it's the song of deepest sorrow because he's revealing to people like he's revealing to this people just like how much he has traveled in his mind at the very least and like how much like and how like arduous this travel was how he found a I found a fossil of myself like in the deepest parts of the like water internet and like I just like learned that I was like I remember being an amoeba almost and like I like call myself Ambrodia because I remember being an amoeba like so like that's kind of what's happening. And so like that's what it is that it's like it's the song of deepest sorrow 'cause it's just like the like this like really really deep repressed traumatic like memory that like has like that like permeated my existence and now has like blossomed this world and like brought like boundless beauty to this world but it's like rooted in such dark like horrible depressing like sorrow and agony. And so like that's kind of what's happening is that like they're like viewing this and like we are like seeing how like the blossoming of a planet and like the strongest are arriving here because like they are the strongest and the most suited to like carry the emotional turmoil that like Lithians have like embraced and like to carry the emotional turmoil of like what it actually is to be a Lithian in this world is that like they're the highest like they're like in the Platinum Council like they're at the highest level of education in the highest order of the like highest planet of the highest like intelligence on like the in the universe. And so it's just like a very like it requires a very like very like arduous like and just very like a tremendous level of strength and like just like emotional like fortitude really to like sing the song of deepest sorrow. And so like that's kind of what's happening. And so like now like each of the strongest have arrived and like Eros is like accessing like the memories of each of the strongest who have arrived there, including the Gold Shawl Boy. And what they're doing is like, so what happens with Blossom is like, so you see the planet, you see like an area of the planet, which like again, this all happened on the whole planet. So you see an area of the planet with the Blossom fruit. Like the people who survive it become immortal, and then they arrive to where the other immortals are, Olympus, presumably, something similar. The Maya civilization, polytheistic civilizations is really what it is. And so then you arrive to like either Olympus, Greece, the Maya, whatever polytheistic civilization that you're arriving to, and you like arrive there, and like what happens is like you are like like people like tell you like oh hey like you're an immortal like that's why you're alive like and like that's why you didn't really like you ate this thing just like how humans started eating like other kinds of food and lived longer like you ate the blossom fruit and then like you survived this like apocalyptic event that happened because we seeded the planet with this blossom fruit, but you didn't really know that that's what it was because that was the point. And so like the blossom fruit attached to you, you survived the apocalypse. And so like then you arrived here, like where the immortal civilization is. And then so like once they, like recover from the trauma of like experiencing that they just became immortal, and then the trauma of like learning that everybody that they knew uh like died in the apocalypse, and then like the trauma of like realizing that the civilization that you just like arrived to and are like genetically like a part of like are the people who literally like caused this like genocide and this apocalypse. And so like there's a lot of trauma that you experience arriving in this polytheistic society. But it's fine. And so like and then like also like the cavalier attitude of the people in this society. It's just very depressing. And so like that's what's happening though. It's just the truth and it's awesome. But it's also really dark. And again, that's what the Ghost Shaw boy is experiencing because he's like, this is so dark, but I'm also really in love with you, so it's like whatever. But it's just like it's really funny. But yeah, so like that's kind of what's happening. Is like he calls the strongest there because like he has to like have this like in the Platinum Council chamber, he has to have like this deliberation of people that he knows are strong enough to sing the Song of Deepest Sorrow and to even like construct the Song of Deepest Sorrow and like to like fully comprehend even what it is. And so, like, what happens then is so, like, they've arrived there, they've learned, like, what the civilization is, they learned what happened to, like, everyone that they love, they learned what happened to, like, the society, they learned what the apocalypse is, they learned what, like, the highest orders, like, goal in, like, seeding the planet with the blossom fruit. And so like now, like they see the world that exists now and they see that it's beautiful and majestic and lavish and grand, but they also know that like 90% of everything that existed on the planet just got like slaughtered by these immortals. So that's part of it. That's where the sorrow is. And so so then like Eros then goes like the Gold Shaw boy like went first, and like he went to the Lithia zones, which wasn't that depressing because like the Gold Shaw boy had already seen the war break out. He had already seen like what was happening with like the slaughter of the Ender Dragon. He saw like what happened with he saw what happened with like the blossoming of the desert in the Seven Majors and the destruction of that town, with the war with the garden. Like he saw a lot of really dark stuff. So like when he was taken to and like when he was allowed to return to his like native home, which is Zone 3 in Lithia. Well, he's kind of from South Lithia, but like when he was allowed to return like to like that house that he used to live in, and like see how he was received well there, but like was received as someone who like is this like who is a like royal and like received by like his loved ones as a royal and not as like anyone that they know, like and not anyone that they're like that they have like the like bravery to like speak to really. Like so I think what's happening is like he was able to return there and they talked to him like they it's not that they weren't allowed to, it's just they can't like relate to him anymore and there's a sorrow that comes with that. But it was still like he had already seen like all of the other atrocities that had happened, so it wasn't that like jarring because he saw all of this play out because he was right with Eros as it was happening. Not everybody was. And so like the other people though, are, what they're experiencing is like they have arrived there and Eros is like, has brought them to this liberation in the Platinum Council chamber. And so like now they are like traveling, Eros is traveling to their native like the native like regions that they are from and like seeing the dark history of what happened to the region that they survived the apocalypse of. And so like they're arriving there and like so they'll arrive to wherever it was that they were. And so like now we're gonna like synchronize this with one of our like selected like images. And so like okay, so we're in our storyboard and we've got this like really red like barren like kind of wasteland. And like so Eros will like be arriving with like, you know, an immortal that like has arrived there and like one of the strongest. And so like this like Grant Laughlin photo is like he is arriving there with like this Grant Laughlin who is like one of the strongest immortals. And so this like they like as like a like the Platinum Council like as like this like committee like they arrive here together and they're like okay like we're here like I'm Eros like this is Grant Laughlin, he is one of the strongest, you know, we went over what just happened to this planet, and so like we've arrived here like as this committee, the Sand Fellowship, the Platinum Council, and like we're viewing the like Eros will kind of do like a sweeping like reveal because like they'll arrive there and just see like the land because like the land like the planet is fully blossomed, so they'll arrive to like this lavish, you know, beautiful like jungle or birch or like spruce world, whatever region they are, and it'll just be like it'll just be beautiful like everything else on the planet is. But just like the core of the earth has fire in it, like so does the memory of this world. And so like that's what's happening. And so he will arrive there and he'll kind of like touch the grass, kind of like how Tafiti touches that and like heals the earth, but Eros will touch it like with that light and like Magnifico's hand in the trailer in the light beam in the One World Trade is like he'll touch the grass and then like what will be revealed is like this is the memory like of where Grant just was, and like this is where Grant was raised and like where we just arrived to, which has been like regrown and reconstructed, but like this is like Grant's memory of the world that was, and like we'll see this like red barren world and like the like that like red glow of like Eros's like really small amount of red darkness, and like we'll just see like that like light reveal of like this is who I am, like this is what happened, and this is like the sacrifice that was necessary to like replenish the world, and this is the sacrifice that was necessary to bring boundless prosperity. And so like what will happen is like we'll just be like seeing like he'll be like literally like accessing Grant's memory, and like we'll see like all of the people that he knew, and like it'll just be like a sea of just like charred bodies and just like, and like Eros will tell him like yes like these people, you know, like these are all people that you knew, and like he'll ask them like do you recognize this body? It's like yeah, it's like, and it's like like oh yeah that was my like neighbor, or like that was like this person who like taught me how to like ski or something. And it's something like, you know, just like really something simple like that. And like they'll just be seeing like, and we'll all just view this together, and like he'll just like they'll just be like, you know, experiencing the Song of Deepest Sorrow together and like constructing the Song of Deepest Sorrow together of like this is the world that we live in, and this is like what had to happen for this world to exist. And we'll just see these like charred bodies and like these like this memory of Grant's life, and like the like he'll like ask him like how much of this do you think you can like take on, and he'll be like, you know, I think I can access more of the memory, and so we'll see more of the memory of like the time, like a time lapse of like kind of like that knowing scene. It'll be like a time lapse of like the time since like, because again like this is kind of like a thing of like in their immortal mind, like they're immortal now, they like became immortal almost instantly and then like arrived to the immortal civilization, so like their brain has already like taken on the like time frame, like the time like capacity of what an immortal's brain is like. And so like Eros will be like demonstrating to them like, yes, like this is like what their entire lifespan was. And like this is what their entire lifespan was of like experiencing the war and like how quickly the world changed. And like this is like what it looks like to them. And it was morbid and it was depressing and it was sorrowful. And like they did not enjoy like this war. They did not enjoy life as the planet was blossomed, and it was sad, and it was horrible, and it was sorrowful. And like that's kind of what will happen is like they'll just be like experiencing like returning to like the devastation of the world that like is no more. But then like they will like experience like they will and then like they'll see like where they survived, like they'll see the spot at which they ate the blossom fruit and the spot at which they survived the apocalypse, and they will see like they'll see like a body of themselves, but then Eros will be like, no, that isn't you. This is you. You're breathing. You're alive. Like you feel that. Like you feel a presence. Like all of these things are just memories. Like none of this stuff is actually here before us. This is just a memory that I access. Just like Elsa accesses those memories. Like in the Enchanted Forest, Bruni is there thawing. Like this is just a memory that we access. None of these people are here, but these ones are all bodies. These ones are all people who are deceased. You aren't. So the one that you're seeing of yourself, that one's not, that one isn't dead. That one didn't die. You're alive. And like that'll kind of be like what the song of Deepest Sorrow is like them having to recognize that they survived this apocalypse and that they survived the blossom fruit. And I think that that's kind of what will be happening. And then at the moment, and this will happen at each, this is the exact scene that will happen at each of the places when each of the people is experiences like the return to their like former life is like the scene where they realize like where they see the like image of themselves, the memory of themselves, and like Eros like has them recognize that that one isn't dead, then the world will grow naturally because Eros like like uh like reveals like the memory and like the red memory world of like the devastation, but then it's them seeing that the body of themselves that isn't dead, and like Eros telling them that they're actually alive, that they didn't die, like that, like in and of itself will have them like when they're ready, like their brain will revitalize the world and bring them back to the present. And like Eros won't do that though. Like Eros like creates the like vision that like demonstrates to them like what happened, reveals the devastation, but it is them like acknowledging that they didn't die and that they're alive and that they've been alive the whole time that like makes it grow green again, like the Tafiti thing. I think that that would be really cool. And like again, kind of touching on how like Eros did not actually like tell any of the people that he shot that arrow with that he was in love with them. He didn't say any of these things. He just permeated the air with something that like gave them a euphoric sensation, and like that's just kind of like the general consensus that they came to, but he didn't say that. And so like that's what's happening. But the Gold Shawl Boy is like that sounds like the same thing. But like again, that's because they're not from the same culture. They're also not really the same species. And so like then they will return to the Platinum Council chambers, and like after they've gone through all of those and like that process has happened in each of the regions that the strongest are from, like then we will have fully constructed the Song of Deepest Sorrow, and like that Platinum Council deliberation session will like be concluded. And so then we like then we will like arrive back in the like upper part of the Platinum Council chamber, like the open air part. And like what then will happen is like the Gold Shawl Boy will like remember his journey to Dionysus, and he'll like kind of remember why like Dionysus and Eros's relationship is so important, and like why his relationship with Dionysus is important, because he's like man Eros, you're super dark sometimes, and like I know your brother's actually darker than you are, but like I think it's important that like you remember like your relationship with your brother and remember that you left like the seven majors because of how dark it is there and because of how dark you are sometimes there. And so like I think that that's why he will like that's like where like when like the Gold Shawl Boy is kind of like regularly visiting the Dionysus temple is because like he knows that like it is his relationship with like Eros and Dionysus in the temples that restored the like restored some like a lot of the genuine authenticity and like the kindness that Eros is. Like he knows that constructing the Dionysus temple and like his journey to the Dionysus temple, and him becoming a healer is like what constructed a lot of that. But again, he has not really been able to vocalize a lot of that to Eros yet. And so like, and also Eros doesn't even really know that he's a healer. Like there's a lot of things that like, that the Gold Shawl Boy, like, and that's what, again, what makes the relationship with Eros and the Gold Shawl Boy so beautiful is because a lot of the things that Eros has constructed and a lot of the like orders that Eros has given, like the world that has been like created and that they have manifested together, like the Gold Shaw Boy not only fell in love with a lot of these things, and like that's like Eros like knows that the Gold Shaw Boy is in love with him, but he doesn't really quite realize that it is because of all of these like beautiful things that he's created, and like because of like how much he has genuinely healed the world and doesn't even really realize that he's done it. And so like there are a lot of the things that like in this like in Lithia like that, and also in Lanai in general, but in Lithia that like the Gold Shawl Boy has been on these journeys that like Eros constructed. Like he didn't send him on all of them, but like he has been on, like the character himself didn't, I did, but like he has been on like these journeys that like the like that have kind of just naturally been made possible because of the world that Eros has created. And so like the Gold Shawl Boy is genuinely living in this world that like Eros has like saved and healed. And so like so much of who the Gold Shawl Boy is like from the journeys that he's been taking in Eros is like in the world that Eros is created. And so like but like Eros doesn't fully know that because again he's unaware of the magnitude of his power. And so like that's kind of what's happening. And so like Eros will then like or like the Gold Shawl Boy will then like realize like the genuine like how like he would like genuinely realize like how important it is that he is the king of Lithia because not only is he a native of Lithia, but like he is really the humanizing, like he is really what is humanizing Eros because like he's what's humanizing Eros, and he's also what is like keeping Eros, well, not keeping him, but like he is what is like it is Eros's humanity that like has him, that like tempers him, like so it's his own humanity that he's tempering it himself, but it is his humanity that allows him to temper that very powerful but like very small but very powerful darkness that he has. Um, but like it is his relationship with the Gold Shawl Boy that really allows that to flourish within him. And so like when the Gold Shawl Boy like really realizes that like he really has a lot of power, like as king, like he was made king because of his own power. And like he really is realizing that his power is like really like emphasizing like Eros's humanity and like keeping Eros's humanity on the surface. And like that's how we'll see his power growing and like his influence in Lithia growing and his influence in Lanai growing is him like realizing that he like genuinely like is the like preserver of like Eros's like humanity.